Okay, well, my name is B. Paxson. I am doing an interview with none other than, is it Luis or Louis or either or?
Depends what country you're from or your favorite way to say it, but it doesn't really matter. All my family says Luis, and all my friends say Louis, so it kind of just is whatever works for you.
And Diane's going to join us on this interview. But
Awesome.
congratulations on pretty much making a comeback, right? Because when was
Yeah.
the last time you played before this past weekend?
2015
Wow,
with
time
Tampa Bay
flies.
Damage. Yeah.
And so um, we'll kind of let you tell the story because we only have so many minutes, and I got Diane on my lap. And we'll just kind of fast forward to this past weekend and that incredible play. Unbelievable. I call it the Mike Paxson. But tell us the
Yeah,
beginning of
that's
the
what it
game
is.
point. Tell us the beginning of the game point and how didn't you win a 4-on-1?
No, I don't think it was a 4-on-1, but I definitely shot 4 people in 1 point. Might have been similar, but not a 4-on-1. I'm not that good.
All right. So
I'm not
okay.
that good.
So that's the rumor that I heard first. And I was like, yeah, I think if anybody could pull it off, it's him. Yeah, pretty much.
No,
But
there was
but
a
it
few
was
points
actually you
there.
had other people on your team still on the field.
Yeah, there was a few points that I actually just ran down by myself. It's kind of like a Mikey D, and just shot as many as I could. So there's that to take into account. But
And
four on
then
one traditional, not so much.
gotcha. Well, that's still cool that you got those G's. So now you're G4
Yeah.
and you make the decision to take off down the field. Tell us about that.
Well, it all comes with preparation, and my whole mentality was to do this at one point during the day. And I was just waiting for the moment to be, hey, there's one guy, I'm gonna go get him. I know which way he's gun shooting, go the other way. And it was really Mike Paxton who taught me how to do this. I've seen him do it multiple times to people, and he loves it. And he just giggles and giggles, and he thinks it's hilarious because it's not about being compassionate to the guy. It's about him humiliating him. Not so much humiliate him, but at least to get a chuckle. Hey, look at what I did. Very unique and different, and um, very difficult to do. It's actually probably twice as hard than just shooting him in the back of the head.
I have to agree with you because, again,
Yeah.
it's still kind of humiliating when your team leaves you all by yourself and you're like, oh, snap, it's about to go down. Right. And then it's either two things are going to happen. Well, usually just one thing. You're going to get ran down and shot up, or you're going to pull a Mike Paxson slash Luis Munoz and do what you did. So
Yeah.
you're talking about preparation, but what exactly, like, I mean, it takes a lot of mindfulness and control because sometimes when you're in the moment, you just want to get her done. And then you're like, oh, I just shot one guy. Oh, I shot another and another. And now I'm about to run down this field because we got G4. And I mean, that takes a lot of calmness, even too. And many of us wouldn't really be able to do what you did. So teach us your ways. How did you do that?
Yeah. So it is all about playing so much that you get bored of the game, in the sense that it doesn't excite you anymore. Nothing, your own hormones, your own nerves don't push you to make moves. All of a sudden, it's your brain that makes the decisions, and your brain will make the nerves and your hormones and everything going in the direction that your brain wants. And I think that's the difference. And I've just played so much, and I came into this event so calm, knowing that I got nothing to prove. I got it's not a tryout. It's nothing I haven't done before. So the whole day was, it almost just felt like a practice. And I know what it feels like to go to a tournament and have that adrenaline and want to win and dreaming, but not me. I was there to have fun and
And
hang out with
again,
Pastor Charles.
amen. I think the key is having fun playing paintball and of course practicing those kinds of things. And I don't think this is the first time you've actually done that. I mean, I do remember when Paxton did that to you. And then you've done it those several times, I think, after that, didn't you? Like at practices.
Yeah,
And
it
so
was
this
my
is
favorite thing to do. Yeah.
so if you have actually practiced the perfection of doing the surrender. So I
Yes.
have to ask them,
Yeah.
what did you say to him?
Okay, so this was the difficult part, because in my mind, I've done this at practice, right? And at practice, doesn't matter if they shoot you, you shoot him, but you still want to win the point at a tournament. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do this to where it doesn't hurt my team and he shoots me or I get a penalty or something bad would happen. So I'm thinking about the rules and how this would get done. And that was the main thing. And the first one was I wasn't going to touch him or grab him or do anything to like move him. I just wanted to speak and say, hey, surrender, or do you want to call yourself out? That was the first thing, is not to touch him. The second thing was the moment that he says, okay, I'll surrender, and I start to walk away and he shoots me in the back. It's another possibility. And at that
Correct.
point, I wanted that to happen because what would have happened is I believe that would have been a dead man's walk. He stood up, he was walking away after the gun was at the back of his head, 10 seconds later, and then he shoots you. That to me,
And that can possibly happen.
yep. And I was waiting for that argument, but so those were my two big factors. But I'm running up to the guy, and like I told you, I had a pack, a 4+5 pack, and I had one of those wobbly pods bouncing. I'm running up and I take out the pod and I throw it to the ground. It's because you have to be as quiet as possible. And as you're running up to the bunker, you have to be very attentive to see which way he's shooting. You have to listen for the gun or you have to see the smoke out the barrel.
Right.
And once you know that, as you're coming up to him, you actually have to walk with some love on the ground. You have to move very peacefully. So as my last 3 steps for that, I put the gun to the back of his head, and I didn't mean to touch him, but you'll notice that he shot somebody and he goes to stand up, and my gun hits his shoulder and then up to his neck. He turns
Gotcha.
around, he thinks I'm a ref. Now, when he realized that I wasn't a ref, is the moment when he was so scared. For some reason, I couldn't control it. My right hand just had to touch his back to say, you want to surrender?
So that's where the compassion part comes in, because you started out with the humiliation idea. Because
I
Paxton
felt
did it
so
to you,
bad.
and that's like you've lived with that all your life. And then now the whole part of, okay, compassion now.
Yep, exactly. I just felt so bad. I felt like the guy didn't know what was going on. I didn't know
Right.
how to explain it to him. It wasn't going to be an easy conversation. So I
Yeah,
just
like,
said,
why
hey,
is this happening to me, and who are you?
what, what is going
Are you my
on?
teammate? Are you getting in here with me?
I just said, hey, you want to call yourself out? He said, huh? You still didn't know who I was. I said, do you want to call yourself out? And I'm putting the barrel in his face. And at that point, he understood. And he goes, very calmly, yeah, I'll call myself out. So,
I honestly would have done the same thing, like, yeah, okay, I'm good. Good job, high
I mean,
five.
I don't know what. And then I know what the guy said to me after the game.
What did
He
he
found
say?
me. Yeah, I'm there trying to get a little.
Did he try to fight
uh
you?
No, he was calm. I tried to get a snow cone, and he's there. He's hanging out, and he says, "What would you have done if I spun and shot you?" I tried to get a snow cone, and he's there. He's hanging out, and he says, "What would you have done if I spun and shot you?"
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. The
Okay.
gun's right here.
I know, right?
All right. So you flinch, and I'm going to tell you what it's going to look like.
Literally, that's my thought too, because of the way that you approached him so calmly again, and then you asked him the question with your barrel facing him, So even if he
Yeah.
did try to shoot, that just would have been the wrong thing to do. Like,
And if he would have shot, people would have sounded like it would have been a bad thing. I think it would have been fun at that point, even more fun. Can you imagine us shooting each other right there?
oh man. Well, and some people, like, I saw the video that was posted, but you told me there were several people that filmed that move. It wasn't just the one that I saw, that I'm probably going to share right now.
It was too perfect.
Too perfect.
That guy knew what was about to happen is what happened.
And that's good videography on the guy's part. It's Polar Media Productions. Thank you so much, Polar Media Productions. Make sure you like and follow his page, because that's pretty epic. It's already up to 12,000 views, y'all. Unbelievable, Lewis. And so, what do you say to people, though, that are kind of making comments about the fact that, well, if he would have done that to me, I would have fought him off, fought him after the game. Like, how do you feel about that?
No, I understand a piece of it to where maybe they understand that it's like a humiliation thing and it was embarrassing. So it's not cool to do. This is paintball. You're supposed to shoot me. I shoot you. But if you really look at what paintball is, and isn't it, trying to have fun and hang out with each other, and I make fun of you, you make fun of me, and we shoot each other and ha ha ha. And this is just another aspect of it, and it's not painful. Maybe it takes a little bit of your heart away, but
I
it's
think it is the
it's all
humiliation
fun.
factor that as warriors, regardless of gender, nobody wants to have to surrender. I think that's the mentality because we kind of are making the X ball scene sort of violent in some respect. But although it is very
Yep.
entertaining to do that, trust me, I'm married to the man that punishes people. Okay, but um, but
Very
what
true.
I feel that you have done is some people would say that you actually by doing that are making people soft, and I have to disagree. I think that there should still be some level of honor in the game of paintball, right?
Mhm.
And for you to you made a choice. You prepared for this. You selected
It was a
a
challenge. It
it
was
was
not
a
easy.
challenge. It's a lot
It
harder,
was a
right?
lot of hard
It's
work
much
behind that.
easier to be angry than it is to
Yeah, it's a
do
lot.
what you've done.
You
You
know
did
how
it for
easy it
fun.
is. Ah, I'm telling you, B. If people don't understand that, they think that that's just a way of saying, "Oh, hey, come out." I mean, you take anybody and say, "Go and try to do that." You got one tournament to do it, and go do it. You would probably only find it among the elite level that can actually do it because they have to slow down the game. They have to find out the opportunity. They have to get to the opportunity, know which way they're shooting, get behind them, not startle them, and then be compassionate enough to tap their back and say, "Hey, man, listen, it was a good little
Yeah.
ride, but
Now let's talk about that though, because again, now that you bring up touching, there is a rule in the rule books that states that you can't touch another player. But
mm-hmm.
I think after you kind of like, oh, okay, I'm being compassionate, that rule is set in place for what reason? Do you know why? I think I know why. But what does a no touch rule prevent?
Um, I'm just gonna say that's got to be just one, a liability rule, and two, it stops people from wanting to get into each other's faces or push each other. It stops from people wanting to bunker somebody and land on top of them. It prevents a lot of ways that
Or
paintball is a game that you shouldn't have to touch anybody if it's done right.
right. Well, the
So,
other the other thought that I had too, again, without having an expert with us, I tried to get one of our referees from our circle of friends to be on with us. But I believe that the no touchy rule is when you're behind um, a back bunker or something with two players in the center back, and then your buddy just gets shot, and you're like, let me get that for you. I don't know if that
oh,
sort
that
of
makes
applies, but
sense.
I'm
That
thinking,
makes sense.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, but fascinating, Luis. It's so awesome. Now, tell us who you were playing for. What team were you playing for, and
So
what's the team all about?
so I actually had, because my points dropped so much. I'm D2 now. I had a few people ask me to come and play with them and hang out and da da da. And I wasn't all that interested, but Pastor Charles, he's a guy in Estero. He's got this little ministry running to where he invites people out to play paintball. He charges them just a donation and probably like you wouldn't even believe how cheap he makes it. It's practically free. You're just paying for the paint at that point. And very good guy, always good with me. And he asked me to play, and I didn't really want to at first, to be honest, just because I have got nothing else to do with paintball. I figured, right? But
Right,
I
right. I,
forgot how
I
much
feel you.
I. So I've been here in the United States for about a year now. I was in Spain for 5 years. But since I've been back, I've had people approach me, hey, come play with us. Hey, come do this, come do that. And I wasn't interested. I already escaped from that paintball addiction, and I almost didn't want to come back. Had a lot of bad stories behind it all. So I was just hurt from it and didn't really want to come back. But Pastor Charles has always been real good to me. Probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Most helpful
Absolutely.
guy. Charles has always been real good to me. Probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Most helpful
Absolutely.
guy. He was the reason I got saved. And if it wasn't for him, there would have been no John the Baptist calling people to come into the water. I wouldn't have heard that. So thanks to him for that and so many other things in my life. He asked me to
It's
play and said, "For you, I will play." Believe it or not,
that's
for you.
awesome.
And I knew that it was going to be about character and working with the kids around us and just uh, being good people and sharing the same the thoughts that me and Charles think and say and do are those same actions that the kids and the youth around us will follow. So,
And that to me is so important, beyond it just being a game that we play for fun. I think it's the influence that you can and a nice legacy to leave behind. And I commend you guys for doing that. You know, it's totally fun to play the game, but when you can make it more enhanced and have even greater purpose, I say let's go for it, you know. That's awesome. Well, I am so glad that you played that event, especially for what just took place. Because like I said, it's kind of a testimony of being in practice all the time and preparation and being able to be in control of how you play the game and how mindful you are about it. And I think that skill set alone that the game of paintball has honestly taught you has enabled you to become the person that you are and has built the character that you are outside of the realm of paintball, right?
yep, absolutely. And it's pretty amazing that that was the first tournament I've played since 2015. And I practiced. I didn't even really practice. I think once I played like maybe 2 times or 3 times within that 6 years, just here and there. But when I came to that tournament, I guess I was a little overconfident because I was thinking to myself, "Oh, it's D3 kids, maybe
Mm,
something like that."
mhm.
And I've
Still
played
very
with kids
competitive
that
too,
over
but yeah.
draw, you know. I, but of course, so I go in there trying to be a little over the top, but I don't think I lost anything. 100%.
And again,
I don't know how you
80%
don't
they
lose it. And that's
say,
that.
right, 80% they say
Tell me
is
that.
confidence, right? If you have confidence in the game of paintball and or anything in your life for that matter, that really says a lot about your performance and the success rate.
Yeah, that will set the pace.
Totally.
But it comes to that slow mo you're talking about, that ability.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you don't lose that, huh?
Yeah, right?
6 years haven't played, really haven't practiced, and you go into this game and you know how to play paintball, right? But you go in and you're able to slow the game down and figure out what's happening and how to be able to perform that. So I found it self intriguing for myself.
Mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset. Well, I hope that we see more of you and we can definitely
Figure out what's happening and how to be able to perform that. So I found it self intriguing for myself.
mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset. Well, I hope that we see more of you and we can definitely learn a lot from you. We should have a clinic, just and we'll call it the Surrender Clinic.
That'd be funny. Uh,
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess we'll just close and say that hopefully we'll see you soon, maybe at the upcoming April 29th through May 2nd NXL event, the Sunshine State Open. Um, we're going to be there, so hopefully I'll get to hug you there. If not, I'll come and find you. I'll be in Florida till May 11. But thank you for this opportunity to hear your story and how you did that because that was pretty historical. I don't think I've ever seen that in the 20 years that I've been watching paintball. I don't think that they've ever even done something like that. Obviously, in the pro scene, that would never happen.
no,
No way. Any closing
but
thoughts?
I just want people to also recognize for that guy that I did this to that
Yes.
um, if you knew me, I'm pretty sure you'll know that I have a lot of rich history with paintball, pro paintball, and practicing like a crazy person. And even though a lot of people don't know me and saw me do that, it wasn't just a D3 kid doing that to a D3 kid. This was somebody who really knew the game and really understood what was going on to go behind the guy and be able to perform something like that. So it wasn't like the kid was no good or I was trying to mock him or I was trying to get It was almost like I was just trying to be playful. So recognize the type of attitude behind it all. And if you'll see me on the webcast camera too, as after I get done doing, I'm going to my teammates saying, I did it. Because I told them all morning that I was gonna do my best to get one of those. And
Wow.
yeah.
Just the fact that you thought about this a week before and you were preparing for it and then you called it. You spoke it out. I just learned that at church the other day.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to change if we don't speak it out.
He spoke it into existence. Well,
He spoke it.
I had to speak it into existence because if think about it, B, if we put Mike Paxton into a Division III tournament, if he wins, he looks like a bum. If he loses, he looks like a bum. So what do you have to do with him? You have to do something fun, right?
Bring back the fun, y'all. Hashtag team fun. I love you, man. Thank you so much. Again, it's so good to see you and to talk to you about this. And I do want to say the MVPS did have some tragedy take place with this fluke weather. I thought it was a tornado, but it was some kind of wind burst that made it seem like it was a hurricane. And when I did see the footage of them still playing in it, I'm like, you guys, that looks like hurricane level winds. I don't think that it's a good idea to have people on there, but they're so passionate about sticking to the schedule and, providing a service for the customers that are the teams, that they did the very best to try to finish out the day. But very, very unfortunate for that to happen. And hopefully if the MVPS needs any additional support, all of us are going to be there to obviously get them back up and running so that we can have another Florida paintball league to participate in. For what it's worth, our thoughts and prayers are with you, MVPS, to all the players, the teams, the spectators, the families that were supporting these teams that were there during this, the referees, even the owners of the MVPS. We're praying for you and we hope that everything we'll get back to some kind of normalcy, even amidst even this COVID environment too. Like, how much more can we take, right? So at any rate, there's some GoFundMe twos, I believe. So be sure to visit the MVPS page, like and follow them, support them. And hopefully we can get back to playing paintball with the MVPS again. All right, Lewis, thank you so much again. And I'll see you in Florida.
Absolutely. I can't wait for it.
All right. Hold on just a minute. So this is Brent Pizzo, and he has reffing experience. And tell us a little bit about your reffing background.
I started reffing back when I was 14 for former lockout pro Mitch Karn, and then didn't realize until a few years later, around 2015, that my buddy CJ Traub, who was a former teammate of mine, said, hey, you might want to give reffing a shot if you haven't found a good solid team when I moved back down to Florida for the second time. And then kind of rest is history for that. And last tournament was World Cup of last year. And I just decided to take a little bit of a break.
Okay. So you also have a lot of friends of yours that you've reffed alongside, still in your circle. And
Yeah.
you obviously saw what Luis Munoz did when he made somebody surrender. And we're very familiar with the surrender rule, aren't we, at local paintball fields? And it's almost a prevention for maybe a youngster, somebody that's new to the sport. We don't really want to scare them away just yet, right?
Yeah,
We don't want to teach them the violence just yet. We want it to be fun for these guys until they age a little bit and probably yearn that violence, if you will, that's so popular and trendy now. But and thanks, Xbox. Anyway, like video games have desensitized us all.
It wasn't in Greg Hastings. It should have been. But
Yeah, we should be still playing Greg Hastings tournament paintball video game.
waiting on the new.
Yeah, but I was surprised to see some of the reactions from people
Me too.
based on what he did, especially this whole no touchy rule. Do you know anything about this rule?
So I had a similar thing that actually I did in practice about a month prior, and I was kind of surprised when I saw that Lewis did something similar. The way he did it was similar. Well, dissimilar from mine, but the same basic principle. So I actually talked to a couple of my friends. So the way it's in the current rule book from who I talked to, because we were just trying to find it out. Now, when you're a ref, and I've refed everything from the lowest division possible to play in the NXL and then the U.S. nationally, all the way up to semi-pro. Sometimes things happen that are considered gray area, where it's kind of up to interpretation, and then your ultimate would either back it or make their own decision. I've been an ultimate for a league before too, and head refs. Now, normally in woods ball and stuff, you would have like a surrender thing can be, considered, right, but it's normally up to the refs at the given time or whoever's running it. So I did ask a friend of mine that's former pro staff and one that is current, and I'll leave names out of it because it's not really relevant. But there's no rule against touching a physical player or touching your teammate, giving them a high five that we could find. I encourage anybody to go and look at it because it changes from year to year. Now, when I did it in practice, I didn't have my gun was down, didn't have any more paint. Guy ran past me. I just went and put my hand on his shoulder and just calmly, non-aggressively was like, tag, you're out, and we both mutually walked out, because for the longest time, player contact normally meant I'm out, you're out. So there was a bunch of different gray area thoughts about how to play this out as far as penalties go. Penalties, no penalties. Some people early on, before we cracked open the rule book, with some more senior people, said that they would assess a minor on me, keep that opponent alive, and pull me. Some said they didn't know, they've never heard of it or seen it. And other ones that actually looked into it, we found that it has to be aggressive or unsportsmanlike to, I believe, get you pulled. So, like you say for instance, you come bunker me, right?
Right.
And you do it correctly to minimize yourself getting tagged, and you skim the bunker, and say your arm or elbow hits me, right? And you miss me, or you go right past me, or so the stuff can happen, the snake,
Right.
things like that, where you missed a shot. You technically would still be both in, right? So take some time to think about it. But if there's no rule for high-fiving your player, because you see it done on the pro field all the time, right? As they're getting, or before they're getting jacked, high-fiving. I guess it has to be physical contact, but it has to be clearly aggressive or unsportsmanlike. So you wouldn't. At one point, I was being told that in a kind of a gray area fashion, because gray area is a big part of paintball, right? It's fortunately got to be there. Sometimes it can help you or it can hurt you, depending on how long the day the refs have had, how fatigued they are, and how good they can come together as an actual team, because the ref group on a field that's running your games is a team in and of itself. Isn't always respected that way, but it does kind of help if there's some common ground between teams playing, especially on Sunday, when we want you to go on and we want you everything to be fair. We don't want to slight anybody. Right. It does unfortunately happen from time to time, but it's pretty consistent.
So in this case then with Lewis,
sure.
And the way that it kind of seemed like the cameraman knew that was going to happen. In the one video, right? It's like perfect.
A little bit.
Great angle that guy had, right? Congratulations, Polar Media Productions. But here's the other side of the coin. So say Lewis did run him down, and he shot him several times, as people and a majority of people do. Is that then the worry of malicious intent?
Uh,
You know,
see,
so it's like, come on, it's just like you said, it's a gray line, right? And because I'm God fearing, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, and and I always want to be kind to people and do what Jesus did, right? But with respect to
only
even
Jesus
Lewis,
had a paintball gun, right?
let's say that again.
If only Jesus had a paintball gun, we'd know what he
Oh,
would.
snap. He would be the best, right? But he would kind of be like Lewis, you know, because Lewis is playing for Route 7 paintball, and they
Mhm,
are a Christian-based team. Their objective is about God.
mhm.
So he actually, in the talk that I had with him, wasn't sure he wanted to come back to paintball, but he
Oh,
talked
that's
to Pastor Charles. So it says a lot about his character.
sure.
And I was very surprised to see some of the, again, reactions.
Me
And
too.
I was super proud of him because when we introduce new players to the scene, the goal is that there's longevity, that these people are
Mhm.
going to continue to play. And the worst thing that you want to do, like we even scared BB and we let her play paintball when she was 10 and now she's 11. But a year ago, before she hit puberty, she got hit with a ball and she almost didn't want to do paintball. And so, not saying it's a gender situation either, right? Because now Beatrix is ready to go. Like she's hunting with her dad, fishing and doing all the stuff that would be deemed a masculine type of thing to do.
It's
But
definitely
Beatrix,
progression. Yeah.
yes, it's a progression. So, with that said, what Lewis did and these reactions that, oh, Lewis isn't going to be growing the sport by creating these softies or players that play soft like that. I was like, it's harder, in my opinion, to
Mhm.
know and be mindful and to control yourself as you're moving forward to make this last move because I think he already shot like 3 people. And then
Probably.
he got to this last guy. And it just so happened the guy was looking the wrong way or he had tunnel vision down that tape for too long
Right.
and or he was actually shooting another player from what Lewis said.
I think
So
that's what it sounded like. He was relaying. He didn't know he was the last one alive, and he was trying to shoot another player.
yes,
So
because there were still
maybe
players
Lewis saw
alive
that that
alongside
bait,
Lewis on Route 7
that,
side.
that
Correct.
player thought that or Lewis thought that that'd be a perfect bait situation. Just went on the inside to try and
Correct.
capture that.
And there is a concern that I have when people say, well, this isn't going to grow the sport by, doing softy things like this, right? And I feel the opposite.
You you too.
I feel like it's gotten really aggressive, you guys. And it is actually very entertaining, but now it's become a specialized sport and only very special people that have the courage, right? The courage to play and go up against very aggressive players that like to just play that gray and shoot a little bit too much. So there
We've
is
all
no
been
rule.
there too. So
There is no rule, though, right? There is no rule that,
not that we can find as for it to be considered malicious. It really has to.
but if the rule did exist, I would think that it would be to prevent people from fist fighting on the field and turning it into a hockey match, right?
Sure,
I mean,
I would
we
say
should add it, guys, to make it more entertaining. Sure, like let them fight.
I was thinking about that too in a talk that I did have. I was like, well, then it'd be really close to hockey, and would that be a good or a bad thing? I mean, you don't want to have people have fist fights because all the kids, as soon as parents see that, you're going to see a drop in at least the tournament side of things, and then they'll start being skeptical about woods leagues and everything else in big games. And things can
Right.
happen in big games, but normally, I played big games with damage guys and everything like that, and it's very polite. They're always trying to de-escalate something if you've got like a crazy situation because the woods are their own thing.
Well, you're
um,
you're speaking of like the Iron City Classic or the ICPL and
yeah, or any really big weekend long scenario.
oh, right on.
Because that in those instances or circumstances, tagging somebody out that way or surrendering them is a valid thing for
And
the
it's
most part.
almost encouraged, right? I mean,
It
it's
is.
a
It
totally
is when
different world anyway,
say
but
it's a younger kid, right? You don't want to dramatize them.
right.
Um, it is a safer way to prolong the youth in a sport, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
We should have
can,
paintball MMA. That's an
yeah,
idea.
We had taser ball. I don't know if that's still
I remember that. And again, there's a place for everybody, you guys.
Mhm.
Like, if that's the way that you would like it to play because it gives you confidence, or it makes you feel powerful, and it helps improve your life, go ahead. If that's fine with me. But personally, I think that it will scare people away.
Yeah,
The more times
it's
that
pretty big in mag fed scenes to have like rubber implements and stuff like that and tag people, but it's still, even in the photos, it kind of looks like a little traumatizing, because do you really know that that is a rubber knife, for instance, or something? You don't really know if you're a kid, right?
right, good point. Very good point. Um, so it's either malicious intent or we're being soft. Well,
Yeah,
we're gonna
what I did think about and converse with a couple of the pro field refs, former and current, about the whole thing is, you know, they're really, it'd be interesting and sportsmanlike if it was done correctly, and say it was in the rules that, if your gun goes down and you have no paint, um, you're left with either being bait or being the on-field coach and communicating and trying to figure something out that switches momentum on the field or guns on the field to make a point happen, or running for the buzzer, right? If it was done in a proper way and added to the rules where you could politely and sportsmanlike, reach somebody, get the drop on them, and tag them out politely,
right.
then that would actually be a pretty big spectacle. Even like, can you imagine on a pro field someone like Greenspan going and being able to get past, say, Fedorov and politely tag? I don't know if it would happen on the
I
pro
don't
field,
think so. Yeah, like
but it would be kind of an interesting thing to see. But it may not, with big egos, go down very well. But it was an entertaining idea.
yeah. Well, like I said, Lewis shared his side of the story and already told me why he did what he did. And he actually was planning it. He had prepared for this prior to the event, got to the event, and told his teammates on Route 7 that I'm going to do this. So as soon as he saw the opening, again, it goes to prove and show that the more experienced of a player that you are, the more confidence you'll build within yourself to know that you can make moves like that and
Sure.
calculate it too. And even him dropping a pod, there's a video where you see him actually drop a pod before he got to the guy. Because why, Brent? Because he didn't want him to hear him coming. That was pretty smart. And the other
Mhm.
thing that sometimes we have a tendency to do when we're advancing, we shoot the bunker because we don't want him to come out on that side, which is, you don't really want to do that, because then if you're smart, you know that, oh, that guy's coming in this way because he's
Yep.
right. You can
Mhm.
almost feel the trajectory.
You're watching the paint's coming always and playing the paint. You don't necessarily play the person as much as you play the paint coming at you. So
Right, right. So I was impressed. But again, I was really disheartened and said that. I thought that everybody was going to be like, wow. Because again, it's easier for all of us to go run somebody down and just shoot as many paintballs just in case that paintball didn't break. Right. That's what everybody says. Make sure you give them extra. Triple
right. I
tap
mean,
them.
there's really nothing. You hear it a lot of national events over the years. So I'm normally pit bossing or splitting the 50 with a head ref on the other side of the field. No, that's overshooting. Okay, well, to eliminate a player, you can use as many shots as deemed necessary to eliminate that player. Overshooting really isn't a thing. It becomes malicious only if you're like sitting there and completely plastering somebody if they're walking off the field, right? But if it's in the admission of, uh, tagging out an opponent, it's a play, right? You're
Right.
deciding what to do and you're doing it. Like, say, if an aggressor runs somebody down in a Dorito, the guy running the guy down has a higher probability, depending on which way he goes, whatever, inside or outside, of tagging the person sitting in that Dorito out because the guy in the Dorito can't break 180 with his gun or it's spinning, right?
Right.
So playing a Dorito and you think you're gonna get run down, what do? You split the difference, right? You use your peripheral vision and you know that as soon as you see something, you better go that way and hope you trade. And if you trade and the guy keeps going, then the momentum switches. You're still out if you traded. Or if that guy gets a major because he runs down and shoots another guy and they say that you're 2 and Dorito behind you and you're the 1, and there's a major, you're still out. But now they've got 3 guys that are getting pulled, right? So it switches that fast, and that's why you'll see 2 refs at the 50 doing their thing. We're actually crossing. I'm watching the opposite ref's guy because we need to see where the paint's coming, so we have to be in front of the people. That's why there's a whole different side of playing the sport. You gotta know what the refs are doing. Most time, we're gonna do our hardest to make sure you don't. And if we're doing our jobs, the 1 and 2s will switch, and there'll be 2 other people playing that side. So
Right on. Well, Brent, thank you so much for taking the time to educate us.
no
And
problem.
again, just like you said, do your own due diligence and research and figure out if that really is in fact a rule. And
Yeah,
ask yourself the question, even if he did touch him compassionately, in my opinion, because he was like, oh, listen, buddy, you calling yourself out? You want to surrender? And he almost felt bad for the guy after the fact that he wanted to make it funny. He was just trying to be humorous. And either way,
right.
you're going to be humiliated when you get ran down versus being asked to surrender. The humiliation is the same. And that was another comment that I saw where some guy was like, oh, I would have fought him after that. If you did that to me, and he's asking him to surrender with the barrel still kind of close to his neck. So I'm pretty sure, even if you were going to spin, you're not going to make it to him. He's going to get you first in the neck, So again, it wasn't that even if he did pat him on the back, it wasn't the intent to physically harm him or start a fight. And
Yeah.
that's why if the rule did exist, and if I was the ref, I would clearly see that would not be grounds to penalize him,
No.
or take away that point away from that team.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the point away from the team. I would
And I
honestly
think there were
either be
still
more.
players left on Route 7's side, so they still could have eliminated him, right? They said, Lewis, you can't do that. That's silly. That's stupid.
Yep.
So to prevent that from happening, they would just pull that player out alongside the guy that was asked to surrender. And then the last person or whoever was left on Lewis's team would have just hit the buzzer. Correct?
Right. Just the interesting thing is you're not eliminated, and neither is the other player by touching each other. So
they almost technically were still alive.
Mutually walked off.
They mutually walked off.
It's like they mutually walked off. So a lot of times when I did it, the person didn't know if there was a rule or not. I did it in a way where the person thought it was a rule. So it's like
we call it Mike Paxson, by the way. We call it the Mike Paxson move because Lewis actually learned that from Mike. Mike did that for Lewis when he was first starting out playing paintball. And Lewis was like,
I didn't know that.
What's that?
Yeah. Well, I said I did it out of instinct last month, and I was like,
how coincidental.
Looking over my friends that were NXL refs, I was like, what would that be? Is that a minor? I don't know. I'm just trying to get a guy out. I don't really mean anything by it,
It's trending, guys.
I don't know.
I want to see more videos of people surrendering people.
It could be interesting, but I would hate
we
to
should
see
set a prize to the next person that does it at a major event, like say the upcoming NXL.
Can we get a golden barrel?
If you surrender somebody, yes.
You know what I mean?
Golden barrel, Brent. Make it happen.
I'm not on the field, but let Manny Marshall and Martinez talk about it on there. I actually sent it to Todd. Like, what would you do? Would you like to see that? But I never got a response.
It's all good. He's a busy guy. Busy guy.
Yeah.
All right, Brent. Well, thanks again, and stay tuned. Hold on, don't leave. And thank you so much again for your time.
Sure. Appreciate it.